but there's not an earnestness in them to it. And then sometimes they want relief. You know, sometimes people make decisions and things get messed up and they just want relief. They don't necessarily want true legitimate help, because help would involve change. You don't know what I'm talking about? That, you know, because sometimes people, they make decisions and they end up in a mess, right? And they don't like the mess they're in, but yet when you actually sit down and talk to them and say, okay, I know the way out of the mess, but it's going to involve change on your part. No, I don't. I want to live my life the way I want to live it. I want to do what I want to do. Well, understand that you're welcome to do that, but you're going to end up right back here no matter what I do. Everybody with me? And see, a lot of times people blame God for that, but it's not God at all. He's actually laid out the principles, and he says, if you do this, it'll work, but if you do this, this is where you end up. It's not you being cursed. You know, people curse themselves because they choose sin. They choose things that specifically God said, this is bad for you, man. Are you with me? And then a lot of times people, I guess sometimes well-meaning, you know, God's just paying you back for what you're doing. No, this is the just results of you making those decisions, because I guarantee you that if you started making different decisions, you wouldn't end up in the same place. I don't know how we got on that, but begged him earnestly. There's got to be an earnestness to our relationship with God, because a lot of times we're not being earnest. Lord, I want you to help me. I want you to help me. I'm sure you do, but really, his help would involve instruction. It would involve wisdom. And then wisdom, once wisdom comes, you need to act in accordance with wisdom. You've got to make that choice. And then once that again, sometimes so often it's, listen, I just, you know, I like fire. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. I just don't like the fact that it burns so bad. But I'm still going to want to play with the fire. Are you with me? Okay, so anyway, I don't know how we got off on that. But begged him earnestly, saying, my little daughter lies at the point of death. So Jesus turns around completely. Now, understand, this was not evidently a hard sell. He came to him because for a lot of people, ministers included, it would be difficult to walk away from a service in which you're teaching, in which a crowd has developed. You know, sometimes it's hard to get ministers to walk away from a crowd to obey God. Are you here? Because sometimes people equate crowds with success. The only problem is that, one, Jesus is going to walk away from the entire crowd for this man. But then there's people like Philip, who is being extremely successful as an evangelist, and God says, hey, I want you to leave this meeting where you're having all the success and all these results, and this is where I want you to go. And when he goes out there, there's one fella out there. Are you with me? And yet that ended up, you know, historically we know that ended up having a tremendous results in Ethiopia and things like that. But, you know, you've got to be willing not to look at your circumstances, but just listen and obey the voice of the Lord. And so Jesus was completely willing to walk away from the crowd to go help this one person. Now that should encourage you in your own life. Jesus looks at you personally. He loves you. He's in love with you, wants to help you, cares about you personally. And even if a crowd gathers together for you or against you, that's not going to move him. He's going to do, he loves you. He's going to help. So, now, this is where we really want to get to. It says, now a certain woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard about Jesus, she came behind in the crowd and touched his garment, for she said